Alrighty, bow hunters, welcome back to another episode. Sitting here online with Mr. Jim McWilliam. You also may have seen him online on your socials as Top End Outdoors. Jim, thank you for joining me, mate. It's good to chat.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for getting us on, but
I
sorry, I'm
think
very reluctant. It's nothing personal against your show. It's just personal for me.
I love it. I had a lot of people referring to me saying that you should interview Jim, and everyone said you should interview Jim, but he probably won't do it. Was the conversation.
Oh, mate, just like, yeah, disclaimer, I don't consider myself even a good bow hunter or definitely not an expert or knowledgeable in any field of it.
You're humble. It's good.
Just do it because I love it, and you always learn. And so, yeah.
I think that's a better standpoint to come into bow hunting with. Like, is it the same standpoint to go with everything, right? Like this, the moment that you think you've achieved it all and you're the most successful one, it's probably time to put it all down, no matter what that is in life. It's like
I
if you can come into bow hunting and just always be the learner, you're always going to have fun and always get more experiences from it, right?
Oh, mate, I don't even think archery in general, like, you're never going to perfect it.
No,
Like, no one.
no.
So, yeah, I consider myself pretty green still, like very inexperienced, and yeah, that's why I said you probably don't want me on that budget about this.
No, you got plenty to talk about. So you're up in Darwin or around Darwin area.
Yep.
And when did you actually get into your bow hunting? Like you told me the other day, we had a quick phone call the other day, and I learned a little bit about you. But be good just to give a backstory for the audience.
In the actual bow hunting, or yeah, more so than just
I
hunting
mean,
in general.
even yeah, archery. Like you talked to me the other day about putting the bow down. You wishing that you hadn't had done that or you picked it up sooner.
Yeah, like I grew up in Central West New South Wales, sort of, and then on the mid North Coast, and like it was always just dog hunting all the time, like
Hmm.
sort of from 5, 6 years old through to mid 30s, and then a mate when I was on the coast, his dad got into archery,
Yep.
and we'd shoot his bow sometimes in the backyard, like on a couple of occasions, and then they bought a little property up at like Emmeville that had like plenty of goats and deer and the odd pig in it. So
Yep.
went out and me and a few mates just went and bought a bow at the local shop and just did not have a clue what we were doing. Like no idea.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, we like we shot a few goats and that, and then it got to yeah, I just sort of living on the mid north coast. There wasn't a lot of hunting right at your doorstep, so
Hmm.
especially back then. So it was just stop. You know, you get out of the cupboard every now and then, put a few arrows through it, and then I moved to Darwin about 18 years ago, and bought the old bow up that barely been used, and did a little bit of hunting, and then went back in the cupboard. Yeah, so
When you say you didn't really know what you were doing, do you mean like tunability wise, actually
oh,
stalking
everything,
wise, or every? Yeah, gotcha.
everything. Like when I bought that bow, then went out and bought Smithy's hogs of Oz and feral game, and
Yeah,
that stuff was coming out, and Clint Pickings ones, and like they were the only two bow hunters in the world to me. Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
existed. So much. Like, yeah, go to the camping store and buy $5 arrows because they look cool because they had camo on them and didn't have a clue about spine or anything.
Fine or wait or yeah, yeah.
And then just wondering why only sort of one arrow in 10 hit the target you were aiming for.
Hmm.
And that was mainly it, just shooting little red zone targets in the backyard and that. And then we'd go up to that mate's property a couple of times
Mate,
and
I
we'd
remember when I bought my first bow and just same thing on the arrow front. I was like, I didn't really know anything from anything. I hadn't done a lot of reading yet, and I just saw on eBay you could get a cheap dozen. I was like, fuck yeah, bought them. And I don't know, I think they were like 500 spine. I'm surprised it didn't blow up in my hand. Like, and then I actually saw some reviews of someone saying something about spines and like spine being important. I'm like, hold up, what is this? Like, I had no idea, and I thought I'd gone the right way with buying them, but instead I went the complete opposite way, going to yeah. I was like, well, 500 seems better than 200, right? So it's more, so therefore it should be good for a bigger bow. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of reading and learning you can do around that stuff.
yeah. No, and then when I got to Darwin, so it was the mates and that were all like doggers. So no one I knew was into bow hunting. So
Mm,
to go hunting with me mates and that, we always just run the dogs.
yeah.
It was when my wife moved up, or like before we were married, and her eldest stepson. wanted to get into something. My stepson, her son, wanted to get into something,
Hmm.
and their local archery club was holding a state titles or something, and asked like my businesses to provide some services for it.
Yeah,
And I said,
awesome.
"Oh, here's an idea. I'll do you a good price, and you sort of take us under your wing if we come down the club." And that's how I got
How good.
started back into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting how it's a very community driven thing at times. Like I really like the solitude of going out and hunting solo. Like that is definitely a favorite pastime of mine. I say favorite pastime, but something that's only come new to me in the last 5 years, really. But it's like I really appreciate that time. In the same breath as well, I absolutely love hunting with friends and just getting around the archery club with friends and stuff. Like it's such a nice camaraderie or mateship that you build up doing that.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, now I have a bit more idea what I'm doing. Yeah, like I'm happy to, like I love hunting with a mate or two, but also
Hmm.
enjoy those,
The
just
solitude stuff, yeah.
alone.
So tell me the transition from dog hunting to like hunting with dogs to hunting with the bow. Was there more to it? Like obviously you got drawn back into it because of the step because of your stepson. Like it's a good way for you guys to bond and get him into it as well. But then obviously you haven't necessarily gone back to the hunting with dogs, have you?
Oh,
Like,
mate, yeah, a few reasons. The dogs, it's hard on dogs in the Northern Territory too.
the big
Like,
toothy boars up there.
yeah, and mainly the heat
Hmm.
and the ever present like crocodiles.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it become like my dogs weren't working dogs, they were pets.
Yes.
So to go hunting, it created anxiety for the family if they come home and
They're all torn to shreds.
staples in them, or
Yeah.
needed a trip to the bed, or and also with social media and that, I started getting a bit, probably tread on some toes here, but
Hey, it's good.
too many people like wanting to film their shit.
Hmm.
And when it's dogs, like it didn't sit right with me. Like people letting dogs swing longer than they should just to get a bit of footage for their mates and that. Like,
Hmm.
you either that animal to put it down as quick as you can.
Yeah.
Standing there
It
trying to
definitely
get them and that.
sparks extra emotion. That's for sure. Like humans is bad enough. Like a human seeing a human hunting is something that sparks emotion, but a human that absolutely loves their dog to death and then they see that you're using your dog as a hunting mechanism and it's just swinging off a pig or getting thrown around by a pig, like the emotion that drives into someone who's a complete dog lover is something that sparks another level that would do probably more than what just
Yeah, but in
a
saying that too,
hunter.
the dogs love it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like
And that's the thing. Like,
they froth on it. It's more the pig. I was thinking like people
the
say, oh,
long,
because I'm training me pup or whatever, I leave it on a bit. Like if you want to train your pup well, train it to get off when you call it. Like
yeah,
you don't want it swinging.
yeah.
So yeah, that was a tiny factor in it, but the main factor was just yeah, and once I started knocking a few animals over with the bow, it was like no need for dogging, and I can't run. My knees stuff, so I can't run. So
Yeah. Do you
chase.
find you get just as much adrenaline and no, yeah, adrenaline dump still from it, but also sense of achievement from it, hunting with the bow?
Oh
More,
yeah,
less,
way more.
same, more.
Way
Yeah,
more. Like
okay.
there's a companionship with a dog, and you're proud of working with a dog to hunt and find a boar and that, and working as a team. But shooting animals, or not even shooting them, being in bow range of animals is way more satisfying.
Mm,
Like personally to me, yeah.
hmm.
Um, where dogs, a lot of the time I can't run, so my mates are ahead of me and that, and I'm hopping along trying to catch up. After time I get there, and it's all over.
Yeah, it's definitely something about using your own senses, right? Being able to really hone in on that little skill, that innate skill that everyone has. Like we've all got sight, or most of us have sight, most of us have smell, most of us have hearing. And so to be able to really hone in on those skills when you're out in the bush and utilize them a lot more, it's very powerful, I think.
Yeah, mate. It's by just being in close proximity to animals, like going about their natural behaviour.
Hmm.
Where a lot of the time with dog, and you're looking at the arse end of a pig trying to get away.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you're not up close and personal with them most of the time for extended periods.
Only see him in a stress state, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And so up in the top end in general, like some of the pigs you put down, I honestly, the largest, hookiest boars that I've seen. I'm sure there's plenty more out there. Do you take much note of measuring or anything like that?
Oh, mate, it's always just an estimate of size. I never
Yeah.
used to sort of keep any tusks at all, but the last probably 18 months, I actually just started keeping them. Like one of the young fellas, he's 12, so he's starting to get, really, really into it. So he
Yeah.
always wants me to knock jaws out, bring them home, and all the stuff and that for him. So,
Yeah.
but no, it's always just an estimate. I have been measuring a few better tusks lately in terms of tusks, but it's always sort of just an on the hoof weight you're guessing over
Yeah. Okay.
years of experience with dogging and actually weighing them when we're dogging them sometimes because you had the quad to pull them up a tree or whatever.
Yeah.
You get fairly accurate at getting the rough weight on it.
What's the biggest weighted boar or pig that you've ever seen in the wild, or that you've actually caught? Let's say.
Dogging, we got a 160.
Jesus Christ.
That was on that's on the hoof. That's not dressed or anything.
No, yeah. In comparison to like size wise, how tall are you and how was it in size wise compared to you?
Oh, he was on good tucker that one. So he was a fairly big frame pig, but just fat as mud. Like,
Yeah.
had jowls and everything. Like, yeah. So I don't know, 6 footish, I guess.
Yeah.
If you
He,
ask Graham,
I,
I'm probably 7'10".
that's most people at 6 foot for Graham, I think. And what you came up to like your hip height or something, or
Oh,
not that tall?
it was a bit of a rodeo that night. Yeah, it was up mango trees, and he was sort of pretty keen on us. So, yeah, it all happened in a few seconds, and get back down out of the tree once the dog's had a bit of grip on him. But yeah, no, he's just a big round bull. I don't know, standing height, maybe how high that'd be, but yeah, he was a big one, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
I've noticed
crazy.
you get different breeds of pigs up here. Like
Definitely.
you'll get an area where they're a leggier type of pig where they might be a bit
Yeah.
tall, or you get other ones that shorter legs, bigger barrel bodies on them.
I've definitely noticed that. Yeah, just in the different areas I've hunted, like almost like a really long-legged pig, but and they're still big-bodied, but like their legs are just so much longer than the other ones, like the shorter, stumpier ones. I mean, the crazy one to me is even the two boars that I shot. I've got them Euro mounted behind me there. But the difference between those two, like that one and that one, it was like a mountain essentially between the two, like same area, same location, still both big toothy boars, but just one was a huge body and one was a small body. I don't aging wise, I haven't actually aged them to see the difference between the two, but one was definitely like younger compared to the other one. It was probably on its way back out. The smaller one was on its way back out on the negative way down, but at the same
Yeah,
time, just interesting to see the difference in the body shapes and stuff. And I think there's like 5 or 6 different species of pigs that we've got here, mixed
yeah, I
species and
wouldn't
whatever.
know about different species and that, but yeah, I know like one area in particular we used to dog a fair bit. There's a main road cutting through the middle of it, and
Mm,
we were mainly hunting one side of it, and we'd catch lots of big pigs over 100 kilo on that, and just normal varying size of tusk, but nothing ever like blow you away.
yeah.
And if you drove the other side of the main road and went up the driveway towards the homestead, that side you'd very rarely catch a pig over 70 kilo, but they were all massive hooks. It was
Yeah,
like
wow.
two totally different breed of pig, one side of the road to the other.
That's so interesting, isn't it? It's just like, especially like that's in even closer parameter than what I was talking about
And
as
there's a
well.
big property, so we're doing a bit of country, but there'd be
Hmm.
less than 50 kilometres between the two.
Yeah, yeah. Still, that's crazy. In regards to the top end and stuff, obviously with the pigs and it being so hot, like I remember going into Darwin. We were on tour with the band, and we stopped in at Darwin for like 24 hours on the way over to Jakarta and all through um, like just Southeast Asia in general. But we got off the plane in Darwin, and it felt like an oven. Like it was so freaking hot. It was ridiculous. And pigs, I've heard before, they need to keep their body temperature below 25 degrees. Obviously, when you're in 40-degree heat consistently, that's not necessarily possible. So, what have you kind of found is like pretty typical of them up there?
Same thing, different area, especially if hunting pressure. Like when you're bow hunting and it's, always daylight hours. Um, like I found, say on a property I hunt out here, you'll go out there in the real heat of the day and you'll walk around these beautiful little like beautiful for pigs, just black swampy, mud and shade.
Hmm.
And you might find the old younger one there or something. But the good boars are up in the higher country, but not your higher country like our high country. It might only be 5 or 10 meters elevation, but they're up in that dry country camping up. Must be getting a bit of breeze or something.
And under shady trees, essentially. Just
Or in the long grass, sort of can't. They must get in out of the sun in the grass and that. But that's
yeah.
where I notice. I find a lot of boars. Not so much bow hunting in it because I don't, because it's just too hard to see them in the
Hmm.
real thick grass there. But they all come when you're hunting more later in the afternoon. That's where they're all coming from. They're
Yeah.
coming out
Okay.
of higher, dry, rocky, hard-looking country rather than laying in those little nice, cool, wet, muddy swamps.
That's interesting. Is it pretty croc country there or
Yeah,
yeah,
that
okay.
crop
So
is really bad,
if
really
they're
bad. Yeah.
I wonder if they yeah, kind of grow smart to that or something.
Oh, there's plenty of spots where it is shady, and like it's not it's not black and white like that. Like there's
No.
obvious, but the majority of the pigs that I see coming in late afternoon to feed are coming out of higher dry country.
Okay. And so usually your hunting scheme for up there is like early morning, late afternoon stuff or
That property in particular, it's more an afternoon place for me. I find it has a bit of hunting pressure on it, not heaps, but like the manager out there shoots a lot,
hmm
just in his day to day work.
yeah.
Um, there is one little like the a family member and her friends do a bit of dogging out there. It was shot pretty hard with helicopters. That's backed off a bit now.
Yeah.
I found that I got more value for me time going in the afternoon, where
Mm,
of a morning the pigs were on the move pretty early back to cover.
yeah.
Where of an afternoon you might catch them out feeding at 3 o'clock in the RV, which gives you that sort of 4 hours to do a bit of hunting. Where in the morning it was the real good golden hour was over and done with, and then you'll
Just
sort
so
of have to
quickly.
go into that harder country to find them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's very interesting. And that 3 p.m. sort of time for you, that's still pretty hot, right? Like
Oh,
that's
I was
still
thinking it's probably the hottest
yeah.
part of the day, nearly.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought. Yeah. That's crazy. They're out and about then.
Yeah, mate. This other spot that we've just started hunting with another mate, Nathan, who's just got us onto this brilliant spot we've stumbled across, and
Hmm.
they're feeding all day. Like I nearly cooked myself last time we went out there. Actually, but pretty bad. But
What mean just you weren't drinking enough water and whatever else throughout the day?
drunk every bit of water I had, but just
Yeah, okay.
yeah, 10 hours just in you know high 30-degree heat and
Yeah.
humidity right up there in November. It sneaks up on you sometimes.
100%. Yeah. It happens quick too. And if you go even a K out of the way compared to where you need to go back to get water, it becomes pretty tough pretty quick.
Yeah, we didn't even walk far. We
Yeah.
walked like probably a 3 kilometer pad, and this is how insane it was. And then we turn around and walk the exact same pad 3 kilometers back and shoot more pigs on the way back than we did on the way down. Like they're
That's
walking
unreal.
over our scent to get into beds that we've already hunted.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
Yeah. Just unpressured land, essentially.
I don't think those pigs have ever seen human.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They're we're trying to scare some out. Like if the shot's not on, they're bedded under a log or something, and they just you can't get a shot. We're yelling at them, and they still won't get up. You see their ears get up. They know you. They can hear you.
Yeah. They're like, what's this animal?
And you have to start taking a tree or something to get them to actually stand up and walk
Yeah.
out to their bed. So
Isn't that crazy?
yeah, but they're feeding all day, like
Yeah.
stinking hot, and you walk out. You might see a bit of boar out of a whole heap out the middle. It's a bit close to the edge, and you go out and get a shot on him or something. You're in the sun for 15 minutes, and it's like shit. Let's get back in the shade.
So indirect sunlight in the long grass or something, just out feeding.
Well,
Just
they're no, the grass isn't even that long there. It's
yeah. Okay.
they're just fully exposed to the sun and
Isn't
just
that interesting?
coming and going today.
I wonder if they just acclimatize to it, right? Like they must do. And they obviously are thriving in that area too. They must just be able to, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, mate, they can tolerate it. So it's got buffalo and cattle and that. They just sit out in the sun all day.
Yeah.
They, you see them in the sun all day, and you see a few bedded up in shade and that, but it doesn't seem.
Most of the cattle direct sunlight in the, like, especially a buffalo with the black skin that they've got, the black hide. You think it'd just be so hot.
Yeah, they seem to bear it pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it was actually James Doomster who had said it in one of the early podcasts about them having to be in the 25 degrees or less. And I wonder if that's like a area specific type pig or something like that. Or I think it would be just more so the fact that they're acclimatized to wherever they are. They just, yeah.
Yeah, and it always comes back to hunting pressure.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
that over property, it's got a little bit of pressure on it. Yeah, there you don't see near as many pigs out feeding through the day. It's that late arby that they all sort of start to come out, but
mm,
that's in a lot cooler months than these other ones that are feeding out in the middle of November.
yeah, it's interesting. And I think it's obviously it's such a little honey hole then as well, right? Like, and I was talking to a guy about this the other day, about and this isn't to take away from your efforts at all, but it's like when you've got so many more opportunities, you don't have to necessarily be incredibly skilled at hunting because you've got
No,
the opportunities to keep
yeah.
going and going and going and going. Versus if you hunt in a block that really doesn't have many animals at all, you learn to fine tune your skills pretty quickly, and even then, it's still not enough a lot of the time.
Oh mate, you got to cash in on the opportunities. Like when they're
Yeah,
few and far between, you can't afford to stuff. Like you invest too much time in that and effort.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember one time, only the only one time that's ever happened, and it was when I took James out to my family's block, and it was in that golden hour on the way. Oh, sorry, it was in the afternoon, like the right on sunset, essentially, when we were walking back, and we saw probably 30 pigs on this open field, and I'd never seen anywhere near that number of pigs there, and that's the one time I've seen that many pigs there. I was like, what the, like, why can't that be every week that I go out there? But yeah, it was just it definitely opens you up for a lot more opportunities when you've got obviously so many animals spread out over one paddock versus one animal across a whole block.
Oh yeah, mate. Like yeah, kissed on the dick by fairy. Like it's so lucky there. It's good, and I'm not saying good practice, but
It
it
is.
really
It
helps you.
is
Because
really even stalking
you get
opportunity
lots
and
of
everything.
different opportunities at
Yeah.
different angles, and a lot of the pigs are bedded. Um, and you can if there's a shot that you think, oh, this is a bit 50-50, and you think, but if I go around to get the better angle, I do this, I might lose. Like this pig might blow out.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter because you're walking up 50 meters. There's no.
There's no one there.
It
That's
sounds,
crazy.
yeah, stupid, but yeah, and that's not. Yeah,
Every hunter's dreamland, right?
that little spot is yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about your method when you're, for instance, you got a bedded boar, like what we were just talking about. You've got a shot, but you're like, okay, like, let me just put it this way. What are you picturing when you're taking a shot on a bedded boar in regards to the boiler room or where you're trying to place the shot? What's your thought process?
Oh yeah, just that. Where the organs are meant to be sitting.
Hmm.
So just trying to draw that center line. You
Hmm.
know, not so much draw like an imaginary center line through where I reckon the best spot for that arrow to go through to pass through the middle of the shoulders
Yeah.
on whatever angle, and then if you can find a spot on that animal that is an aiming reference, so that when
Mm,
you are looking through your peep, and especially your eyes are full of sweat, you've been in humidity all day, and
yeah.
things get a bit blurry and starburst, and that's if you've got something you can aim for that from your position you're standing in, that arrow, if you hit that point, your arrow has to pass straight through the center of your shoulders at the right height.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so that's how I sort of think. Just think of it like you're looking down on top of the animal and where you
Mm,
think the center axis is for your angle.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
definitely makes sense. I kind of think of it like same but different, just like as if you had a box, right? I've got a box of tissues here, but it's like as if that was the essentially the vital. So every angle that you go around on, you're always trying to pass through that box on the pig, no matter which
yeah,
position it
yeah.
was in, sort of thing.
Virtually just thinking about your exit, like
Yeah, yeah.
I enter there, where's it exiting, and has that pass through the middle
Mm,
of where you want it to be. And especially with the bedded boars, though, the thing I take more time considering is double checking the angle. Like say it's laying on its belly, like is its spine slightly towards,
rotated.
slightly away from you?
Yeah.
It might look like it's just laying on its gut, but it may be leaning on you know, same, not much like a drastic 45-degree angle, like that could be, but when it's that smaller angle where they're just leaning over, whether you have to come in lower on one side or higher on one side to exit
Yeah.
that right spot at the other end.
Would you say that a lot of these shots are actually bedded boars?
Not until 6 months ago, man, and then yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
nearly every shot.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Was it an adjustment stage for you to start with?
Um, yeah, just taking that little bit of extra time to make sure are they deeper in a wallow? Like,
Hmm.
is their bed dug out a bit?
Yep.
I only seeing half of them.
The
Is
other
there?
thing is like obviously the way that they're laying and the way that it pushes things, like essentially the organs can essentially kind of be pushed to the
Yeah,
side a bit, and yeah, that sort of concept as well.
yeah, but yeah, mainly just that bit of dead ground that they're in that you can't
Hmm.
see. So,
Which they like to do, right? They like to bury
yeah,
themselves a little
yeah.
hole.
The bit
Yep.
I find the hardest is when one's on hard ground, flat ground, and laying dead parallel to the ground with its back
Hmm.
to you.
Yep.
And you can see the spine. And from your angle, you think, oh, shit, do you go out? Like, because you sort of, you know what I mean? You're looking at it where
100%.
you get a pass through, you're only getting one lung, or
Yep.
the spine sort of blocking the middle zone.
That's where you hear of like people zipping it along the side of the rib cage rather than actually going through as well,
Oh,
right?
like if,
Like,
if they're dead
no,
broadside,
I get it.
yeah,
I get
that's
what you were saying, but
spine on,
even then,
yeah.
like just that, it can almost bounce on the rib cage and come off rather like the angle, rather than being along like that. That's your ribs going that way, literally going this way instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So with things like that, if you can, I think, well, probably better getting as close as I can, even if it's like 3 or 4 meters.
100%.
So at least you're shooting down and you can sort of shoot below the spine if they're back onto you,
Yeah.
hit the top of the upside lung and come out the very bottom of the lung closest to the ground.
Definitely. Yeah, it's all really it's just like I don't even know if it's not mechanics, so it's not it's essentially it's angles, right? Getting your angles right. I don't know. Is that physics? I don't know what that plays into math wise, but it's just like thinking about your angles, entry, exit, what are you hitting on the way through? Like getting really used to that anatomy, just it becomes so much more powerful for you once you understand it.
Yeah, and I sort of got a heavier setup that I
Hmm.
wasn't going to use that often, but it's become my sort of go-to bow now. I love it, and it's given me a lot more confidence in just taking other angles.
Definitely. Yeah, that's interesting. What were you at
Say what
versus
we were saying before, probably wrong thing to say, but I can aim straight on that spine.
yes.
You might get a deflection, but more than likely, you're going to do a heap of damage, and that
Yeah.
pig's going to get up.
What sort of weight are you talking?
Oh, it's about 83 pound. I've probably lost a bit now,
Hmm.
and 610 grain arrow.
Yeah, okay.
Deliberately made the arrow that heavy. It's just at my draw length and using
Exactly. It's just
50 head. That's just what it
adds
comes
up.
out as. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't a desired weight. It's just how it sits. But I still get a lot of speed out of that bow for that heavier arrow. And yeah, so
That I think
it's
that's
still
what
coming
my
handy.
weight would be if I had 150 grains as well up front. It would
Yeah,
be
okay.
around that 610. And it's purely just like length of draw and everything else. Like the 250 spine arrows, they're heavier in general. And then the
Yeah,
length
well,
of the
I'm using 200 spines
yeah,
because
wow.
ones I use only come in 200 or 300.
Yep.
So they're the 200s. And yeah, it's a bit of a weapon, that bow. I love it. Like it's still shooting 285 or 286 feet a second with that heavy arrow. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it
tell
does.
me this. Have you ever seen pigs jump the string up there? Like much
Yes.
reaction? Because I've seen it a fair
Yes.
bit with pigs, to be honest, especially in highly hunted areas. But they can be so skittish and they will literally drop and roll really quickly.
Yeah, no, I have seen it. Especially the last sort of 6 months, saw it more.
Hmm.
Um, Before that, I hadn't seen it a real lot. Like
Yeah.
this other spot I hunt, it's NT pigs are they're a bit different in a lot of ways too. Well, in my experience, the floodplain boars
Mm.
or pigs that are sort of in that floodplainy type country, they're a lot more forgiving.
Yeah.
You can get away with a lot more. Um, and I'm not saying they doesn't mean they won't jump the string if they hear a bow or an arrow coming at them, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's not something that I factor in.
Yeah.
Like I've got a pair, like a ball, and say I think he's on to me a bit at this spot. I won't aim. I won't adjust my aim to allow for it.
No,
Like
and that's what I was
down
going to
to
get to as
35
well.
meters or something. Yeah, I'm still aiming where I want to aim.
Yeah. Yeah. It is just interesting to see. Like I have seen pigs react a lot more than what people give them credit for.
Yeah, yeah. Smithfield's a big advocate of that up in the Cape when I went up there.
Hmm.
That they'll move. I think I forget what he says, but a certain percentage of the time they'll move before Yarrow gets to them. Not move out of the road, but they
No,
will.
but move
Yeah,
enough. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think with pigs in general, like my concept has always just been get as close as possible. And because their eyesight isn't amazing, you can tend to get away with it. You can get in way closer, even with a bit of not necessarily saying if you give yourself away, but they'll pretend to feed and be a bit more forgiving, and you can usually get one or two attempts with them being like, is that something? I don't know. Depending on the size of the boar and the age of it, obviously as well.
yeah. Well, I don't get a lot of real mature balls out at this local spot I go to. I'm sure there's a few there, but maybe just because that bit extra hunting pressure and helicopter work and that they might be a bit more nocturnal,
Mm,
a bit wised up. I do have a mate up here that he used to hunt it years ago, and he reckons no, they just don't get a chance to get that old
yeah.
because of the helicopter shooting and that.
Yeah. Wow.
But um, they're way they're a very in comparison to when I went to Strathburn.
Hmm.
These ones at the local spot here are way easier to hunt,
Yeah.
like way more forgiving.
Hmm.
Like if I get clean spotted, eyeball to eyeball at 30 or 40 meters, they will walk or trot off, but they won't go like running for the hills.
No, they'll run
Um,
100 meters up the hill or 100 meters
where
up the.
at the Cape there, like there's they're highly strung.
Mm,
You tread on one twig, the leaf the wrong way, they get the tiniest little whiff of you. They spot you, they're out of there, game over.
yeah, interesting. Yeah,
A
I've
lot more
always
forgiving here.
obviously scent has always been a big one. If they ever smell me, they're gone. Not because I smell bad, just because I smell different, right?
Yeah, and if one gets a good look out at this local spot, they like they're out of there too, but they're not in a hurry. They might
Yeah.
only run 50 meters and then turn around and think, what was that?
What was
Just
that? Yeah, yeah.
start feeding off like at a bit of a faster pace. But this latest spot we've started what I've been hunting, mate. It's where like pigs are walking back over our pads. You can see them stop to smell you, and then they just keep walking, doing lay down in bed.
So bizarre. Hey.
I've never seen pigs that just like walk along the same pad as you're coming towards you sometimes, smelling you the whole way. Like you can see them working their nose and then,
That is insane. Yeah.
yeah.
You've also done a bit like you definitely hunted places where there's a lot of them in particular, and hunted a few yourself. The buffalo up there, is it kind of are they very skittish and stuff with the ones that you've seen out there, or is there like what are sort of
No, same
thoughts on
thing too.
them?
I think
Yep.
different areas, different hunting pressures, but
Hmm.
I've had very limited experience with buffalo because I've never had like access to them.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I haven't like I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands in my adventures over the years, but never been somewhere where they can say, oh, you can take
You can
buffalo.
actually shoot them.
I
Yeah. Wow.
have. But yeah, no, they're, I'd say the ones I've experienced, like, yeah, like the first one I shot, it smelled us and comes nosing in. I end up,
Got you.
yeah, like it was curious as to what the smell was. And
Yeah. Wow.
I ended up shooting it at 7 meters on my knees, which was a bit daunting, but
Oh God. What was its reaction? Like up and move away, or did it keep
yeah,
going?
like
Yeah,
that,
okay.
because that arrow hit pretty hard at that range. And yeah, sort of that initial just burst backwards and run out 20 and sort of fell over. But yeah, actually, mate Harry, like he was videoing that, but it doesn't look near that close. But like we were so close, he had to put his phone on that like 0.5 mode to
Yeah, wow.
frame. Yeah, it was. We measured the shot from where he was standing. Yeah, it was just over 7 meters. So
That's crazy. I can't remember when I definitely heard a story at one point of it might not have been a buffalo based on the way that like the way that their horns sit. It might have been a scrub ball, but someone getting pinned up against a tree and getting their guts like literally internal just out. I think it might have been on like Hunting Camp Down Under podcast or something like back in the day. It was before I started my podcast, but I remember hearing this story. I'm like, fuck, that doesn't sound nice.
yeah, no, they deserve a lot of respect. Those any of those bovines, like
Yeah.
too proud to say I've got a healthy little fear for them. Yeah.
Mm. I
Um,
think that's the best way to do it, right? Have a respect for that, whatever animal it is that you're hunting. You know that they
oh
can do
yeah,
some
I'm not a
damage.
yeah, I'm not a gambling man, so
Hmm.
I don't. I'm not going to put when you're just standing with a bow, I'm not, maybe 15 years ago when you're a bit young and stupid doing silly things, yeah, it's a different story. But now when you've got young kids at home, you got a family that
Too
relies on,
much to live for. Yep.
I'm not going to put the decision whether I live or die in a in a bovine's head. Like we were out banting hunting there one day, like the story of that, and mate said, I've got to get your banting, come on, we'll go out. And being around, I was getting a bit more, comfortable being in around close. And we're walking across this big open flat, and like a couple hundred meters to decent trees and that. And next thing, like this big black bull, like in his prime, not a real mature one, but just in his peak performance. And he's laying down this long grass. And mate's like, "You gonna have a shot? You gonna shoot him?" I was like, "Fuck no." I'm getting out of here. Let's get out of here. There's plenty close to trees. Like, I'm not letting that animal cop an arrow, stand up, and then decide whether I live or die. Like, if they want
Yeah.
you, open, bud, there's nothing I can do. I can't run.
Seeing the only two people that it could have been,
Yeah,
the only
he's
two
confident
objects.
because
Yeah.
he's fit as a fiddle and can run. So he knows I'm the one that's going to cop it, not him.
That's why he was happy to do it.
Probably. No, he'd back you up.
No.
Yeah, no, yeah, my days of walking out in the middle of floodplains or open areas with bovine are long gone.
Yeah. Okay.
Tree somewhere in the vicinity. So if he decides he wants me dead, well, at least I've got a second option.
Yeah. Run around or climb up. Hey.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I know they're a pretty curious animal. Those buffalo, like they come into calls pretty good, and
How about the bentang? Are they much the same?
yeah, I don't. I've been around them a bit now. I've done half a dozen trips out there. We've interacted with them a fair bit, but yeah, I don't know a hell of a lot about them, and you hear a lot
Mhm.
of stories that some people say they're the most dangerous out of all of them, and others say
Yeah.
they're the quietest. I think it's each individual animal, mate. You get a rogue, or you.
I mean, it's the same with cattle, right? Like some cattle, some of the bulls you interact with, they're really ridiculously aggressive, and then others, it's just bred out of them in a sense.
Yeah, yeah. Like I had one bloke tell me that he had a, but it wasn't him personally. He had a mate who was up a tree, and the bantang was jumping, trying to get him. He got stuck up a tree for ages, and it was literally
You
trying to
know, it's
jump
what
up.
nightmares are made of.
Yeah. So that's where it comes back to that. Yeah, I'm not going to go flinging arrows out in the middle of the open with them. I like some sort of plan B if shit hits a fan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, understandably. Mate, being that you are, I mean, do you guys have a bow shop up in Darwin at all?
No, there. Probably about 8 or 9 years ago there was one, and it shut down.
Hmm.
That's just as it shut down just as I sort of first went to the club and started in my sort of journey with the bow hunting. There is a local gun shop now that's starting to stock.
Archery
Um,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
not like an archery store, but there's another. If you need something, it's worth for any locals up here. It's worth going in and seeing if they got it there first. Trying
Definitely.
local so they can buy more stuff.
Yeah, I have a lot of conversations with guys that are rurally based and don't necessarily have a bow shop close by. Like 5, 6, 7 hours or more is kind of their closest place they can get to. And I've always been a big, like big. I guess I've always really enjoyed going and physically touching something before I buy it, and it's not necessarily available to some people like that.
Yeah,
What's been your theory for buying bows? If yeah, like whilst you don't have
mate,
necessarily
it's pretty
straight
much
access.
it's pretty much trial and error.
Hmm.
You know, if you know other people, like reach out but
Yep.
every bow shoot's different for every person. So what suits someone won't suit you.
Yep.
So say with like I bought another target bow there 12 months ago or something. And I wish I could try other bows so I
Mm,
could find one that aims better for me or that I enjoy more. But yeah, up here it's just you've actually just got to pick a bow off spec and
yep.
you say what other people think about it and then dive into it and hope for the best.
Yeah, definitely. And so have you just kind of stuck to the bows that you know in the sense, like if you started with Matthews, you stayed with Matthews or
No,
jumped around, tried different few?
that very first bow I ever bought was a Hoyt, something like an Ultra Sport or something.
Yep.
Been like very early in the 2000s, and then I bought that shop that was closing down. This is how naive I was. We went in there to look, and everything had been bought just about. And there was one bow sitting there, and so oh, that was cool. They like heaps different to the one I had 15 years earlier. And then um, my missus always does stuff like this. a day later or something, she goes, "Oh, we're going to go pick that bow up. I bought it for you." I didn't know about draw lengths or anything. It's just one
Yeah.
size fits all. Yeah, so it was a Wheat Nitrum, but it was only 30-inch axle to axle
Yeah. Wow.
and maximum 30-inch draw. I'm a
Uh-huh.
31-inch draw, so
Yeah.
it worked. Yeah. But yeah, prick of a bow for me to shoot because the string, I needed a peep with a hole like a 5-cent coin in it so I could
Yeah. Wow.
shoot right. It was that far from my face. And but then after that, I bought another Hoyt. Actually, I bought I had a uh, Defiant Turbo.
Hmm.
That was more a fill-in bow, actually. I bought that second hand, and then I bought a Hoyt Double XL, and it's been a really, really good bow.
Yeah.
Still set up for hunting. And then I just went and bought a PSE XF33 a few years
Hmm.
ago. Love it. It's that bow I use all the time now.
Yeah.
Um, Two target bows I got. They're both Matthews. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Really, I think
yeah,
really like with the modern technology of bows, they're all pretty up there. Like you're not going to necessarily have a bad bow. It's just going to be what feels better or different in hand, right?
yeah. And especially when you get into the sort of target bow side of thing, like there's a lot of personal field preference in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing against Matthews. I wish I didn't buy that title. I just
Yeah.
bought title 38 last year. It's just I'm not getting along with it. Great bow, like wins lots of comps with the pros in it. It's the operator, but it doesn't. I fight with it. I
Yeah.
wish I had a board, say like an elite verdict or something that I've got 1/4 inch adjustments and I don't have to ring up and order another
Get the new.
set of mods to
Yeah.
change
I didn't even know
holding
that about the
weight or something.
Matthews, right? That you had to get the mods.
Well, mate, it's a brilliant thing too, especially like in terms of hunting, because you might want a 60-pound bow, you think, and you buy it, and then you think, oh, fuck, I wish I'd have bought a 70-pound bow. So you buy a set of mods and you got a 70-pound bow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
great like that.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to really fine tune something to me,
Mm.
like a target bow or something like the switch weight mods and that are a bit annoying to me because oh, I should have bought the 31s feel a tiny bit too long. I need a 30.5, so I
Oh,
bought
yeah.
those mods, and then they feel a bit short. And then maybe I should change holding weight, so you buy another set of mods. Like
Mm.
where something like an elite, it's all
It's just
adjustable.
all tunable on the actual cam system and
Yeah,
the.
and other bows as well. But like I
Yeah.
know mate's got the
I think
elite.
Bowtech could do the same thing now, don't they? The 1/4 inch,
Yeah,
yeah, 1/4 inch adjustments as well.
yeah, but I suppose you want to get something for your 3 grand these days.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
not Bowtech, just in general. Like
No, in general, yeah, exactly. I mean,
target
and
bows
that's the
make
thing.
a
It's like
difference.
this is where the buy once, cry once thing is so like definitely valuable, but at the same time, it's like, what is your buy once price? Because to get into bow hunting and for it to cost you 4 grand straight off the bat, it's like or more if that's just your bow, 4 grand for a bow. It can be a bit confronting, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. No, I actually had a mate that I used to do a lot of dogging with up here. He's moved down south. He's got a heap of deer and that on his block, and he wants to start getting into the bows a bit.
Hmm.
And that's where his predicament now. Like, wants the entry level, not entry level, but wants a cheaper thing just to suss it out for a year or something because
Definitely.
he still runs a few dogs down there. And then he said, oh, I can dive in a bit later. I'm like, you're going to go down that same hole.
Gonna buy twice. You know
You're
what? I
going to
always
spend
said
a
I was.
thousand this year and 4,000 in a couple of years.
I always said I'd sell my other bows. I've never sold a bow. I've got a collection.
I sold one, and then I went to sell another one. Now, the bloke was actually on his way to pick it up, and just
Mm,
put a foot down. And said, "No, you don't need the money. Just leave it on the wall. You never know. Collect them."
yeah. Yeah. All right.
Won't argue with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good one to have on your side. Um, but I mean, something you've actually done, given that you don't necessarily have tuners and stuff available to you, without having to send your bow somewhere, is you actually went and bought yourself a bow press and kind of went through the methods of learning how to tweak it and do it all yourself. Where did that like? Was it just purely out of a accessibility piece that you went and bought the bow press?
Yeah, mainly. I hate relying on other people too. Like, so,
Hmm.
even just for real minor shit, you need to move your peep up or down, an
Yeah,
eighth of an inch, or you got a bit of string rotation, or you want to check your timing or adjust your timing or change strings, anything like that. Like, but even the real small things, yeah, like a peep movement or something.
hmm, yeah.
Nothing to ring someone up and say, hey, can I come and blood off you again? And tell me what day suits you and what day will you be home and what time can I come over?
Yeah.
Now
Could
you
be
can,
weeks without being able to use your bow and whatever else.
well, or make the change you want to change or whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to become sort of self sufficient.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then once you actually get the bow press at home, obviously there's a fair time of having to learn to do it all yourself. And what did that kind of learning curve look like for you?
well, I bought a better press off Summers,
Hmm.
and sort of with that come in, like he brought in, he said,
His
"You got any
knowledge. Yeah.
questions? Whatever, ring up." And that started off with a phone call here, a message there, and just escalated.
Yeah.
It probably drove him crazy for a while, but we've become real good mates out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still use him now. He's like my cheat sheet. Like
He
even if
call
there's
logs your
something
wife and Ian Summers, hey?
if I know what needs to happen, I'll still ring him up and say, hey, because he's had so much experience and
Hmm.
goes through so many bows, like, say my Matthews TRX or something, I'll be like, I know I should spend the time and change knock. If it's not aiming real well, I should change knock and point and move me knock and point up a bit, move me rest up a bit, move me peep up, and keep doing that until I find the sweet spot.
Hmm.
Or I just ring him and say, hey, have you found a pattern with these TRXs on 31-inch draws? Oh yeah, set it up with arrow running through the bottom third of the burger hole. That's where it aims best. So it's like my
Isn't
sort
it
of
crazy, right? And it's just that repetition because he gets to do what 2 to 4 bows a day, sometimes more if he's under the pump. Just like getting to learn those bows and see each of them as they come out of the box year to year, and yeah, crazy.
yeah, and picking up little trends. Like even now, someone brings a bow to me and everyone's time poor, but I'm real short of time and that. And,
Hmm.
I might ring out, have you found a pattern with these yet? Are you having to shim the cams on every one of them? Because if he says yes, I'll just put it straight in the press and shim the cams before I even, start working on it just to get that head start.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
and so that was what that was, mate. Yeah, mainly him and other people as well. Like a
Hmm.
bloke up here at the club a fair bit, Jock Thompson. He's forgotten more than I'll ever know, sort of stuff. He's been around his whole life. He's a fair bit younger than me, but just
Yeah.
knows his shit. So, and just rattling off other people. That's a good thing about the sort of bow hunt and archery community. It doesn't seem to be as much competitiveness, and everyone wants to help.
Yeah.
In
People
a
want to
lot
see
of
people win.
other disciplines or sports or lifestyles, people are secretive about, you know, don't tell them how we're catching the barrel or don't tell them how we're doing this
Hmm.
or where bohum people can't wait to help you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, there's a way to go about it in regards to asking and whatever else, and not being needy. It's a give and take situation where you need to, I think, obviously provide value as well for people in the sense of don't just always be the person that's asking 1,000 things and never offering up anything as well.
Yeah,
Um,
well, yeah, for sure, mate. And like people, I get a lot of questions off other people that like I try and help out, but
mhm.
as I come back to the very start, I said I'm not very knowledgeable and no way an expert on anything, but I seem to make do. So, um, we're all at different levels. So
Yeah,
there's some advice, and even if it's secondhand information, well, Summers told me this, or Robbie Austin told me this, or
yep,
someone
a
told
hundred
me
percent.
this. You're just passing on. Like there's no like you're not giving away your secret barra spot or something.
No,
It's
exactly.
everyone's
Not,
happy to help.
nothing I say is original. It's all through the podcast that I've learned from other people. Yeah. I see. I'm the complete opposite to you. I don't think I lie. If I lived if I lived rurally and I didn't have access to shops or summers or something like that, I would probably look at buying a bow press. But for me, in the stage of life I'm in, got a young family, got a business. Like there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes on. I'm flat strapped for time, to be honest. And so for me, buying a bow press is not interesting at all. I'm like, I couldn't be stuffed tinkering. I prefer just to take my
Yeah,
bow to Summers and just go, Summers set it up. I can do the basics of moving like the peep around if I have to, moving the side around, moving the arrow rest around if needed, but it's also only once it's to a certain standard of where someone set it up for me. And it's like I would prefer to pay for that service and have full confidence in it rather than for me having to tinker with it. If it was a different situation, and why I bring it up in general is because I do have a lot of people reach out to me who are living rurally, and I'm like, well, it seems to make a lot more sense to kind of go down that route of doing it, or buying yourself a bow that is 90% tunable without having to do a bow press as such, without twisting your strings and whatever else that comes with that.
Yeah, well, bows are getting more and more like that, hey, where you can do a
Mm.
lot more without a press. Yeah, it is tricky with time and that. Like, I'm so glad I did it because, and I love tinkering, trying to probably compensate for a lack of ability, but you know, trying to get that extra 1% out of a bow so it aims a bit better, or it helps me perform a bit better. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is a fair investment in time.
Mm.
And if you do have access to people that can help you out with it close by, well, I suppose you take it. But yeah, I don't ever regret getting my own
No, definitely. I think that's like
and
any skill
learn
you
them
learn,
where
right?
I'm up to.
You're never going to regret doing it, especially if it's something that brings you joy. Like I think when I make arrows, like it's a nice another little solitude practice piece where you just get to zone in on your little craft, and it's nice. It's a nice little escapism, right? Like that piece in itself is really good, and I can imagine that tuning a bow would be very similar.
Yeah, yeah, satisfaction gets frustrating too. Like sometimes you just get that thing that just won't work out, like that XF33, that PSE mine. It was a prick to tune. Like
Hmm.
it wasn't too, it wasn't a prick to tune. It just never. It's not doesn't look like it's in tune. It shoots
Mm.
like it's in tune, and I
Hmm.
don't know what it is, whether it's limb deflections or right, torque on the rise and that. Actually, Robbie Austin was here one night, and he had the same bow, and I got him to look at it, and he said, "Oh yeah, that just doesn't look right, but it shoots. It shoots unbelievable. It shoots lights out.
Yeah, well.
Shooting better than my target pose. Actually, it's not saying much at the moment. It yeah, like the arrow looks like it's heading in towards the riser, but I can get those broadheads and field points hitting the same dot like further out than anyone would expect. Yeah, so
Yeah.
don't change it. If it's not broke, don't fix.
Exactly right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Tell me a bit more about the archery club stuff. Like you obviously you went there to take your stepson in, and it kind of felt like a bit of a community from word go. But you use it quite a lot, right? Like you're at the club a bit.
Mate, if I'm not hunting or fishing, there's a shoot on, which is every second Sunday up here for the club I'm in.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll be there. Like I love it. Yeah.
And what is the club in the sense of like who's it aligned with?
It's aligned with ABA, Australian Bowhunters.
Yep.
Um, this is like, again, this is only my experience. I have picked up a sort of comments thrown around, not thrown around, like from very respectable people that I respect a lot. So there must there must be something to it. But I get the feeling that a lot of the older, not even older, way more experienced hunters and that are sort of off ABA
Hmm.
for whatever reasons, whether it been politics committees.
I'd say there's politics that fall into it. The other side of it is, unfortunately, that a sour apple in the bunch at a club can ruin the experience for many, right?
Oh yeah, in any
Yeah, any
organisation
situation.
or
Yeah,
club
exactly.
or team or anything. But in my experience, like there's just so many benefits if you've got a club near you, whether it be ABA, 3D, AAA, any archery club,
Hmm.
to be in it. Like just the fine tune, like there's so many positives to come out of it. And I think I have had a couple of people speak to me. I had like a mate up here reach out there a few weeks ago, and he had a similar thing where I won't mention his name, but he asked about it. He said, "Well, I don't know how long ago he did it, maybe 20 years or something."
Hmm.
Turned up with a compound bow and was treated a bit like a leper, like fucking take those sights off. You're not allowed that or this, that.
Yeah, got you.
Riser
Yep.
up, you've got camo riser, you can use them as aim, and just treated like a leper. And it surprised me because now,
Mm,
well, since I've been going, like
complete
everyone,
opposite.
and um, like it's not, you don't have to shoot for score. You can turn up, bring your rangefinder.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're just hunting targets. Like
Hmm.
so like that's a massive benefit just in that. Like as in you can come out and shoot in my group, and we step up to a target. I'd encourage you to try and range it yourself. Don't say it out loud in your head.
Definitely. Yep.
Pick a number, then pick up your rangefinder, range it, set your sight, or pick your pin, or how you're going to go and shoot it.
I've often done it, and I don't know like what the competition stands are, but I'll take a shot at the range, like the thinking process of what the range is,
Yeah.
and hit where it hits, and it's like, okay, well, either it was really good or it was really bad, and if it was really bad, then range again and take another shot. Like, I don't know, there's probably rules against that in regards to what you
No,
can
well, we've
do
got,
on a.
yeah, say you random Sunday turn up me and we've got, say, it's a 3D round. You've got 23 Ds out there.
Hmm.
So me, you, and a couple of other blokes might be in a group.
Hmm.
And if you're a new or you're a hunter and you're only interested in hunting, but you enjoy going and shooting some targets and that without no politics, no bullshit, nothing, you just, yeah, unless it's a competition round, like a state title or a competitive round, or sometimes you do grading rounds to get gradings if you're going in comp. But even if it's a grading round, if you're not getting graded, you can still shoot for the day. Well, this is only from the experience I've had at the club I go to. I don't know about
Yeah.
down south or other clubs. They might be bloody getting the shits with me right now. But bring your rangefinder. Just don't tell anyone else in the group.
No, exactly. Don't ruin it
So
for
like if it's
anyone.
me, you and Jock, don't. Oh shit, that was 42 meters before
Yeah.
we shoot.
First up, 42 meters, boys.
Yeah, and yeah, range it, shoot it, whatever
Yeah.
you want. Don't range it if you want to guess, because if you're going hunting, no matter at some stage, you're not going to be able to use a rangefinder. Like people say, oh, that you hunt with rangefinders.
Hmm.
You're walking along, pig of a lifetime, jumps out of his bed that you didn't see,
Yeah.
runs out to 28 meters,
Hmm.
pauses, gives you like a 3 second, 4 second window,
You
and
need
you're
to practice.
draw when he's running.
Yeah.
You're not going to get your rangefinder out.
No,
So you're going to shoot him at 20, you're going to shoot him at 30. Like, yeah, it's a skill worth learning,
100%.
whether you only use it once a year or whatever. So I find that a huge benefit, and it's fun. Who doesn't like watching arrows? Don't know.
Fly. Yeah,
Your aim.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think some of the like I'm all for clubs. I'm like the more archery you can do, and really I can drive my closest hunting block's like 3 hours, probably more. And so it's like really it's a 3 hour drive to go and shoot long distances somewhere, or I can drive 25 minutes and be at the club, shoot some arrows and be home within that 3 hour window. Like if you've got a Sunday free or something, why not go out and do that and enjoy some
Oh,
time with some
exactly,
friends
mate.
and stuff?
And you know, you get a membership. They're not that expensive, and then you've got access to a big practice range. You know,
Hmm.
to go out and work with your bow or just practice in general. You get insurances, so you know maybe that helps with someone's access if you can turn up to Cocky's house and go, oh, you know, I come with it. My access, you know, I'm fully insured to be a bow hunter, you know,
Yeah.
sort of like if I accidentally shoot you prize bull or something,
Yeah.
there's probably some insurance in it for you or something. But there's those benefits, and I think especially like the South Australian shit and that.
Mm.
The like me when I first bought a bow and I thought Brad Smith and Clint Picking were the only bow hunters in Australia. Like, if people are making rules and that, that's how they might think. But it's not like a gun license where you can put there's data on how many gun owners there is or how many
Mm.
sporting shooters there are.
Hmm.
It, but people joining clubs,
It at least gives them some stats to pull from.
at least some sort of stat where they go, oh shit, there's
Yeah.
30,000 of these pricks. Like, we don't want to lose those votes.
No, exactly. And it's very interesting, right? Like in America, I think they've got 30 million registered bow hunters that come in through their systems, their tag systems every single year. Couldn't say what number we have in Australia.
No, wouldn't have a
Like,
clue.
yeah, exactly.
And
Um,
if people making decisions on our behalf
hmm.
are the same and they think there's only, you know, 500 of them floating around out there, the crazy bastards, well, they're not going to worry about upsetting the minority.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a very interesting point. Definitely one of the things that when I was looking, like I'm pretty spoilt for club choices in the sense of within a hour drive, there's probably, I don't know, 6, 7 clubs, let's say. Something that definitely came out when I was very first looking for clubs is some people are like, oh, as a bow hunter, don't go to that one. Don't go to that. Like there was people that apparently would shun the bow hunters in general there. But that was 6 years ago, 5 years ago now. And I feel like they've all definitely changed a lot. And if they haven't, then they probably should because I feel like bow hunting and archery they're one and one. It
Yeah,
shouldn't be
exactly.
one against the other. But yeah, it seems like actually what's happening now is that the archery clubs are coming to they're understanding that they need to apply to the bow hunters a lot more, and they're doing more of like education nights around bow hunting and stuff, as well as like I went to an event at a club once, and they did a butchery example. They did a caping example. They did different like scenarios and stuff. It was a really cool like outing, a day essentially, like a field day for bow hunters to be able to go to help attract more members to the club. I think it was something like that that is so powerful.
Yeah, well, that's like if you're an ABA member and you don't need to do a course to hunt,
Hmm.
but if you want to claim game, you have to do what they call a BPC, like a bonus proficiency course.
Okay.
So you can do something like that when, depending on what club or to what extent they want to do it, they might have a carcass there and open it up and fully get into it.
Yeah.
And maybe one day down the track, if she keeps going south, is that might be a compromise, like people doing a proficiency course
Yeah.
in order for us to be allowed to keep doing it legally.
Definitely. Yeah.
But the other benefits too, like if you're a hunter and you come out to the club, like just little things like tweaking your gear, like you
Mm,
might sit at home and you're knocking the center out of your target. I've got this, then you come out and have a shot at a trial run at the club with us or something, and all of a sudden everything's hitting 6 inches left, and you're thinking, shit, it was firing good yesterday. That might be something like hand torque under pressure. So
definitely.
you're going to be when a big boar jumps out in front, you're going to be under pressure.
A
So they're
hundred
the
percent.
things you want to, everything like your pin gapping, practicing that, practicing your range estimation, like um, just little tweaks, 1%ers that shooting once or twice a month, doing 20 targets and around, you soon work out things that you need to work on and things that you
Mm,
need to adjust or fix or, shit. I just realized that if I'm shooting in the shade, I can't see through me peep or something, like my peep's too small, and you don't want that to happen to you when the trophy of a lifetime
oh,
steps in front of you. You want to
exactly.
work that out in front of a foam goat.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think the other good side of it is obviously on the targets, like it just gives you good reference in regards to if you haven't shot at animals before, where you should be shooting and stuff as well. Not necessarily
Well,
saying, not saying follow the target dots. I'm not saying that. I'm saying actually practicing to hunt on a foam animal
on
instead.
a foam animal, because I was about to
Yeah.
say, I was guilty of that for a few years old. Like in the early years when I started getting back into it, was a lot of the scoring rings on the animals aren't where
Too
they should
far back. Yeah. Too far
be. Yeah,
back. Too high.
or
Just, yeah.
mid, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I've changed my point of aim hunting sort of in the last sort of 12, 18 months. I was sort of tending to be sort of more just aiming that double lung bang,
Hmm.
sort of thing. But when shit doesn't go to plan and you perform a bad shot or you get a tight deflection or whatever, there wasn't a lot of room for error, like back or high.
Mm.
So yeah, I've started aiming where you should be aiming, really, like
In the triangle, more for the boiler room.
all right in the heart.
Yeah.
If you do happen to go low or misjudge a range that you had to estimate or something, sounds bad, but worst case scenario, you're going to break front legs, or you're going to go a bit forward and you're going to break a shoulder.
Yeah.
Uh, you go high, you still got all the lungs. You go back, you still got lungs. Like
Hmm.
it's a higher percentage shot. I'm doing a lot more arrows in that way. They're fucking getting expensive.
What? Because you're breaking on the
Not as many clean pass throughs, like
yeah, yeah,
half
break when they're
reflectors
running
getting
away.
hung up in the opposite shoulder, or
Uh-huh.
because I'm just like, unless it's dead broadside, like,
Yeah.
and with that setup I'm using now, like and like I've only ever used the Cayuga things, like I've never had issues with them, and um, I'm just probably shouldn't say like quartering on pigs and that. Like it's if I can wait for a better shot, I am. But if
Mm.
I'm not, I back that gear just to go straight through the
Take the
shoulder.
opportunity. Yeah, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
because you know your stuff, right? Like that wouldn't have been your very first preference of shooting. It's a learned
No,
behavior
no,
over
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, like I know I shot a big boar there last year with the young fella, and I had one of those, a Trizot prototype.
Mm.
And there was a good boar, and he was like real big body boar, and he was coming at us. And I got the young fella squat behind me, and I thought he was going to come this way, and he sort of he deviated a little bit, and where the wind was coming. He only had to go another meter or two, and
You're
he
done.
walked onto me and sort of waddled off. And the only shot was like strong quarter and on, like
Hmm.
aiming right on the ball with the shoulder. And yeah, that base, it doesn't bother me. Ideally, yeah, you want to wait for him to turn or give you a better shot, but I don't sort of have that thought with that bow on pigs. That
Yep.
was big body bore, and that just smashed straight through that front shoulder. And tries not come out the other end fine. Arrow snapped inside him when he rolled over. But yeah, it's good having gear you can trust in a heavier setup.
Definitely, man. Yeah, I actually been very, very impressed with those trizots. Like, I mean, in general, like everyone knows it. I love Koga stuff. But I think looking at the blade, you're like, oh, is it actually going to be that strong? Right? Like it's a surgical blade essentially, compared to like a big, thick Zot, for instance, where it's got like your thicker broadhead in general. I was always like, oh, I don't know how it's going to go, but it seems like they're actually becoming a quick favorite of many people. Seeing a lot of people post on socials that are using them
Yeah, well,
heaps.
I don't think they're ideally designed for the Northern Territory.
Hmm.
They're probably not designed to shoot bovine and stuff like that. They'll do it like easy.
Mm,
But most people are running a solid two blade, not a three blade.
yeah.
And the that one that was a prototype, so it wasn't up to where they were 100% happy with it yet. And
Yeah.
Air came out with a tiny bit of chatter on one of those little replaceable blades, and
Yeah.
it was over 100 kilo that big, and it went straight through the ball of the shoulder, like just smashed it. And
It's crazy.
yeah, it was very
That's what
very
I mean. Impressive, right? Like compared to what I thought it would be. It looks flimsy, but it's not.
yeah, no, that was I got someone sent me up three of those products. I lost two of them, and I had them in my quiver. And the last night, yeah, went on a little run and gun mission and right on dark last light, and I shot these two pigs, and like they both went down pretty like, real quick actually. And then looked at me quiver. Oh, fuck! I was meant to shoot two blades, not those three blades. Oh, rare as hen's teeth then. So.
The heat of the
Um,
moment.
yeah, but that just goes back to what I'm saying, where I've changed my aim of where I'm aiming a lot now. I'm
Yeah,
getting a lot more like into that room where if you are a tiny bit off, or you're a bit far forward or a bit far down, you're hitting bone, but the gear's holding up to it, and it's still dropping them pretty quick.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think going back to the target stuff as well, like the club stuff. One thing, I mean, you kind of touched on it in general, but practicing shooting on 3D targets with pressure because you've got people around you to make the
Yeah.
shot. I think that's like the closest thing that you'll probably get to having an animal in front of you for the first time. And like,
Oh yeah, I reckon.
yeah,
Yeah, there's not many other ways to, and like, most bow hunters just love archery in general, like flying arrow.
exactly.
I'm sure there's heaps out there. There's probably not a lot of bow hunters that, oh, shit.
Yeah,
Like
I've got to shoot my bow.
I'm looking forward to going hunting, but now I'm gonna have to fucking have a few shots out of me bow. Like
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
people. So why wouldn't you want to just turn up, walk around for 2 hours, shoot 20 targets, have a laugh, bit of banner, go back, have a few beers. Like
Yeah,
you don't have to score. You don't have
no,
to do competitions. You can bring your rangefinder. Virtually all you got to do is take your broadhead off, put a field point on. You can turn up your hunting gear.
definitely. I mean, to that point as well, I have gone on more hunts and not shot my bow at all compared to going to the archery club and shooting your bow. You're like there for purpose. You're going to shoot 100 arrows or more or whatever on the day, depending on what you're doing then on the day. But like I've gone for weekends and not even shot my bow. And then it finally came to me. I was like, you're going and walking around with your bow. You're not even shooting it. Like get there and actually make sure you shoot it. Like I might take one shot when I very first get there and then not at all. So I've started making it like more of a practice piece as well. Make sure at your lunchtime or something like that when you're not hunting, get your bow out and shoot some as well. Otherwise, you would go away for a whole weekend and not even do archery.
Yeah, and those one percenters with that archery club, like just little things that you will improve your game.
Mm,
Like
hmm.
whether it be, you know, it's your first time in a club and you step up and they got like a rabbit or a little thing at 5 meters, and oh yeah, I'll smoke this one. And you
Shoot
hit
over it
at
or
the front of
under it
it,
or yeah, exactly. Yeah.
because you don't realize
Uh-huh.
that you're meant to use your 40 or 50 pin on something that close, like
Yeah.
depending on what bow or geometry or wherever your crossover is. Like you don't want to make that mistake if fucking big ball walks on the other side of the tree that you're standing behind, and you go to shoot him with your 20 pin and you hit him in the brisket because you're 6 inches too low or something. Like,
Oh, yeah, that was me with a fox. I chased him for freaking years, and one came right to me, meter and a half. I missed it. I'm like, what the heck happened? Like, I aimed with my 20 pin. What happened? And that's why I've literally got a target in my office. It sits on the other corner here, so I can practice my 3 meter shots, 3 meters and under.
and what's your bow shoot 3 meters at? Like your 30 pin or
At
40 pin
three
or
three meters, it's on the 40 pin, like my
yeah,
third pin down. And then pretty much if I go under the meter and a half, it's on the bubble. Like it drops that much. It changes that
yeah,
much. Yeah,
yeah. And even like other little things like they're only fine things, but say you step up to a 45-meter target,
mm,
think, oh, easy, I'll just split my 40 and your 50 pin. But that's not always your split because your
no,
arrow's dropping quicker
as it
on
gets further
tobacco.
away. Yeah,
So your 45, splitting your pins may be more equivalent to 46 or even 47 meters.
definitely.
So then if you don't know that and you go hunting and if 44 meters is a shot you're going to take, and you go 44 meters, that's close enough to split me pins. But that could be 3 meters off where halfway through that gap is.
Yeah,
But they're the sort of things you'll learn by practicing, like at any archery club, or
definitely.
even go buy 20 vinyl target or 10 vinyl targets and set them up if you got space and make your own little target range. But
Yeah,
yeah, I know there's good reason um, why a lot of those really respectable old timers, not in terms of age, but bow hunters probably have a gripe with certain organisations and clubs or whatever. But for anyone becoming a bow hunter or that already is or whatever you say is, I'd highly recommend going out. And you don't have to join up. And I know our club does, like, first 2 trips are free, even if you didn't have gear, like people listening here would. But you get free lend of gear. It's a couple of compound bows or recurves or whatever. But I think more people would enjoy it than they think. And if they realise that it's not daunting, you don't have to go out there and shoot targets out to 50 meters where you don't know the range. You can bring a rangefinder, and if you're not comfortable over 30 and you get up to a target and it's bloody in the high 40s long or something, wait till we shoot and then walk
move
up to where
forward.
you're comfortable and shoot. Like,
Definitely.
there's no, if it's not a comp or a grading round or something, there's no government rules that say, maybe there is down south, but that's not my issue up here. Like up here, I'd love to see more bow hunters come out. It'd make other things. You're going to network with people. You're going to find, you might come and network with someone, and all of a sudden he turns around and says, yeah, I've got
You know, come
50,000
for a hunt.
meters I'm allowed to
Yeah,
hunt with you.
exactly. Yeah,
Got no one to go
100%.
with. So
I've heard of that happening a fair bit, even just in Brizzy, to be honest. So
yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot of benefits to it.
yeah,
Yeah, I just can't see why more people that haven't been burnt or upset with
I don't
reason
think you've got anything
don't
to
start
lose.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing to lose going and trying it, right? And if it's not your thing, then so be it. But you've at least tried. I think you're going
yeah,
to get a lot more out of it than what you probably expect.
yeah. But if you enjoy archery, I couldn't imagine why you wouldn't
Mm.
like flinging arrows at targets.
Hmm. I was actually out the range one day, and I was just there by myself, just trying to tune in the bow before I went on a hunt, just trying out the longer distances as a just in case, like a backup, making sure that I knew my 50 and 60 were like dialed in if I ever had to take a backup shot. And the caretaker comes out and he's like, "Mate, can you come try this food for me?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, we've got a meet here tomorrow, and I want to make sure that I'm like doing some good stuff." So he just gave me like a big old plate of food. I'm like, "This is great." Extra little
Yeah,
bonuses.
yeah, and yeah, practicing those, like you said, just practicing those long distances for follow-up shots and that. And you never know, and if you're practicing a lot and you're confident, and that's where you build your confidence in your
Hmm.
ability. And like we all like to try and take the shorter shots we can, but
Yeah.
now and then, for whatever reason, you might get presented with a shot that yeah, people say you shouldn't say it, but might be a bit over the normal average. And you have a shot. I just shot a buffalo a couple of months ago that was further than I'd like to think that I'd shoot animals.
Hmm.
Um, but there was a few circumstances for why I did that. It was the end of a 10-day hunt, and little did I know, I was about half an hour away from shutting down. I've got pretty bad, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, cooked myself, but yeah, I wasn't going to take the shot. My mate said, "No, come on, there's opportunity." Like I wasn't even going to go up to where it was to get into range. I
Hmm.
said, "No, we've got to call it a day. Come on." He said, "No, how often these opportunities come? Have a crack, and just we'll go up and see how you go." And I was about 65 off it where I had a tree, and
Hmm.
I got in front of the tree to break up my silhouette, and it was out in the open, and I was going to get down on my knees and try and at least get out to 40, thinking I'm still only 20 from the tree. I might have some hope if it goes south. When I got down on my knees, both hamstrings just went
Locked
whang.
up. Yeah.
I landed flat on my face, blowing everything. Buffalo didn't even see it. My mate couldn't see it because he's behind the, like, I was in front of the tree to him. But, I cop some hate for saying this, but I I walked out a little bit and he stood and I shot him at 56 meters. But
Hmm.
that's because I
You
practice
practice.
at
I
those distances a lot. And I'm not like, oh, I'm going to shoot it.
No.
I know I trust myself enough where I can get the full draw and I can slow the whole shot down enough that I know the second I've got any doubt that the shot might not be being well executed or I've got a bit too much pin flow, I'll abort the shot.
Yeah.
Like I can say stop, it's not on.
Hmm.
And yeah, I end up just coming to full draw because I was still cramping up. And that yeah, the pin just sat exactly where I wanted to sit. And I just
Yeah.
thought I'll start executing and as soon as it doesn't look right, just abort and next thing arrows in the air. So those longer range practice and it's always worth doing because people say, "Oh, no, I don't need to practice over 30. I don't shoot over 30." But what
I
about
build a
shoot
lot
one
of
at 20 and he
confidence.
runs
Exactly.
out? Yeah,
Yeah. I build a lot of confidence with my 20-meter shot by shooting 60 meters often. And what I mean by that is that you see where you go wrong. Like it doesn't necessarily always show at a 20-meter shot.
exaggerates
It
your mistake.
exaggerates everything for you at 60 meters. So you get a lot more confident with actually, am I pulling through my shot and am I doing it as a surprise shot or am I actually punching the trigger? Like learning how to do those processes. Like I said, I build a lot of confidence in my 20-meter shot or under by being confident at 60 meters.
Yeah, and you never know when you're going to need it. As in, like you take your 20-meter shot and you get a deflection, or the pig jumps a string, or the animal jumps a string, and you don't hit it as well as you wanted to hit it. And then it runs out another 30, 40 meters,
Hmm.
stops, turns broadside to look back to say, what hit me?
Yeah.
You know that's, it's about to leg it and it's the last you're going to see it.
Yeah.
You might have to lob one in at 50 or 60 meters. So if you
100%.
like you might as well be competent at doing so or give yourself the best opportunity to be accurate at that distance.
Definitely.
Yeah, by all means, I'm not saying take long shots, but sometimes a long shot as a follow-up is better than no follow-up.
It's good to have it in your tool belt if you ever need it versus not, I guess.
Yeah, and if you practice a lot at, 40, 50 meters, yeah, when you step up at 25 or something, your pin feels like it's just stuck on the spot. It doesn't, the pin movement's a lot less noticeable and that puts confidence into your shot and you execute better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, no, I honestly think why not go to a club, especially if you don't have access to be able to set up your own archery range or something at home. Like where I've moved to in my house, May last year we moved here. I've got 8 meters, I think 12 meters max that I can shoot from, which is great for my longbow, but with my compound, it's really like it's not challenging at all. And so essentially, I go through process of my shot, like my shot process, and that's kind of it. Just making sure I'm doing the functionality of the movement, and then when I go to the club, I'm able to just confirm like yes, my shots are good, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. And with that, if you get a little bit of anxiety with shooting in front of people or, especially on the 3D range where you don't have a big bag, your pictures, your vinyl's not stuck to a big butt. You've just got, it might be a big, tall, skinny legged deer or something. You've got that extra anxiety too, where if I miss, I'm going to break an arrow because
Yeah,
there's no backstop. So people's shot process quickly changes when their pin's moving around. When there's a bit of anxiety,
definitely.
the pin's doing a bit of movement, all of a sudden they're not pulling as hard on the back wall and they get a flinch or a creep or their impact point changes because they weren't pulling back hard on the wall. So all those little things, any little extra stress you can add to your practice while still having fun
Mm,
is going to help you deal with those things when it happens out in the
in the
field.
bush. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. 100% agree. Well, mate, I'm getting messages, unfortunately, to get back to work, which is not nice. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap it up?
No, no, nothing I can think of, mate. I've already,
You've done a good job. You have.
uh, whatever, you hit the delete button if you want, mate. I told you
No,
not to get much
no.
value out of it.
I think there's a lot of value in this, and it's those little conversations that you don't even like the little rabbit holes that you don't even think you're going to go down. Then all of a sudden we're there, and it's like, oh, this is actually very valuable. I think if I'm finding it valuable, I'm sure someone else will.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Another thing with why we're just on that sort of club network and stuff,
mm,
if you don't have a bow press or you don't have access to tuning, that's where you'll find people that can help you.
that do. Yeah,
And 99% of people I found bow hunting community in general want to help you.
yeah.
If you, oh yeah, I don't know, it's just how many bow shoots, and they might look at it and say, oh no, we've got to fix this or we've got to fix that, or
Hmm.
you might know more than them, but they have the gear to be able to use it, or the club has a press itself, or
Yeah.
someone you meet through it has a press at home, and so that's another thing going back to working on your own gear is uh, attending a club might might open up access to get someone to help you with stuff like that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's just growing your network, like you said at the start. Growing your network with like-minded people is never going to be a bad thing.
Yeah, and the more bow hunting type people that get in it,
The more it's going to attract.
yeah, the more it's going to attract, and then you get that little core group of like-minded people that bit of banner, bit of
Yeah, it's always good shooting with a
fun,
bunch of blokes and yeah, having the banner thrown around as
yeah,
well.
and a beer afterwards or whatever, and buddy, organise your next hunt or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, Jim, thank you very much. Top End Outdoors. If anyone wants to follow along, and yeah, just appreciate your time, mate. I really do.
Anytime, mate.